and thank you for joining the AWS Summit Online. My name is Anna Wisniewski. I'm the Principal Technical Program Manager for AWS Disaster Response. In this session, we are going to talk about being on the front lines of disaster response with the cloud. After a quick program overview, we will talk about the disaster response lifecycle, then go into what work we do in the different aspects of the lifecycle, from how we help during mitigation and preparation to responses we have helped with, and we will go into what AWS has been doing for the COVID-19 response. I'm a little biased towards using Coast Guard quotes because before I joined AWS, I was an officer in the Coast Guard for almost 12 years. This is a quote from Admiral Thad Allen, who led the Coast Guard response to Hurricane Katrina and Deepwater Horizon, and was the top-ranked officer of the service before his retirement. So what is the AWS Disaster Response Program? We're a team of experts that work with our partners and customers to bring AWS technology to bear against the issues that arise from disasters such as hurricanes, earthquakes, or even pandemics. It comes in three parts. We have a deployable response action team made up of volunteers from AWS. We have information sharing in the form of white papers, publicly available code, or use cases. And last but not least, technology. We help build out the technology that helps our responders, which we will get into in the next few slides. We work in the art of the possible. This diagram is an example of bringing in-field connectivity to the area of a disaster that we call the last mile, meaning the area where communications, power, and other critical infrastructure are down. Using a Snowball Edge, a highly durable device we have that is optimized for compute or storage, along with Wi-Fi mesh, you can get responders the connectivity that allows them to bring technology into the field. We have a use case in the field from Hurricane Dorian that I will share a little later that goes more in depth on one of these solutions. A critical piece of understanding crisis management is the disaster management lifecycle. The most critical part of this lifecycle, contrary to what most people's first thought is mitigation and preparation. Mitigation, loosely defined, is what you do to make sure the disaster you just responded to can't happen again. If you do not prepare, you cannot respond effectively. So let's talk mitigation and preparation. I had to use this picture. It's one of the most famous photos from Hurricane Katrina, which was one of the most devastating black swan disasters in the US in a century. When I said that mitigation is the work of making sure the disaster you just responded to doesn't happen again, well, the same disaster will never happen exactly that way again. There will never be another Katrina, the Fukushima disaster. There will never be another COVID-19. We call these black swan events. So how do you prepare for a black swan event? Lots of training, practice, and creative thinking. Trust me, I'm a lot of fun at dinner parties with how much I can think of the worst case event for pretty much anything. Here's an example of some of the training and drone testing we did with Esri, We Robotics, and the Peruvian government. In order to solve for some of the gaps that were found in the work, including effective coordination of teams of drone pilots, and the lack of the ability to analyze large amounts of aerial data in a disconnected environment. This all led to developing the storage optimized Snowball Edge solution. What preparation gives you is the agility to make a pivot, to spin up new technology, and ultimately respond more effectively. That solution we worked on there ended up helping us during Hurricane Dorian. Speaking of hurricanes, better estimates of hurricane wind speeds can lead to better decisions around evacuation and general hurricane response planning, saving both lives and property. The National Hurricane Center had been updating projections every 3 to 6 hours using a largely manual process via the Dvorak technique. Artificial intelligence experts with the impact team at NASA and Development Seed created the Deep Learning-based Hurricane Intensity Estimator. That's a mouthful. To automate the manual wind speed estimation. The team found that the outputs of the automated process with the machine learning model on AWS is more reliable as an approach than the manual way. And it can run every 15 minutes rather than every 3 to 6 hours. This is just one of the ways that we are seeing our customers use machine learning services to do deeper, faster analysis that allows them to speed up response. Novetta is an advanced analytics solution company that is focused on mission success for its customers in the public sector defense, intelligence, and federal law enforcement communities. During a disaster, knowing the location of personnel, their vehicles, and equipment is critical to maintaining high safety standards and maximizing the effectiveness of first responder efforts. Tracking the location of these resources across a diverse response with multiple organizations can be challenging. In November of 2019, we, with Novetta, supported Operation Convergent Response, an annual event hosted by Verizon and Nokia at the Guardian Center facilities in Perry, Georgia. OCR provides first responders, local, state, and federal agencies an opportunity to demonstrate technologies that can save lives. In February of 2020, we brought our solution to the Stephen Todd Dooley Search and Rescue SAR Forum. The SAR Forum is a joint search and rescue exercise hosted annually by the Virginia Port Authority and the U.S. Coast Guard in Hampton Roads, Virginia. During both events, our ability to put personnel and assets from any group on the same dynamic map without an internet or cellular connection proved to be game-changing. The Snowball Edge device allows us to bring data and EC2 instances to the field. With an available 80 terabytes of usable storage capacity and the ability to host multiple compute instances in parallel, Snowball Edge provides a slice of your cloud environment in a rugged box that can function without being connected to the cloud. Project Resilience is a part of the AWS Disaster Response Program supporting AWS worldwide public sector customers who have a critical business continuity to a community's resilience. This is a way to help get you into the cloud to be ready for a disaster, or if you're already with AWS, we can help make you more resilient. What we're offering is up to $5,000 in Project Resilience credits to state and local governments, community organizations, and educational institutions supporting their business continuity plans in the cloud. Eligible new customers can submit a request for up to $5,000 in cloud credits to offset the costs incurred by storing critical data sets in Amazon Simple Storage Service, Amazon S3. Eligible existing customers can submit a request for up to $5,000 in AWS Project Resilience cloud credits to offset costs incurred by engaging ProServe and CloudEndure to do a deeper dive on their business continuity architecture. As I mentioned before, mitigation and preparation are critical. If you don't do these properly before the disaster, you will not be ready to respond. Project Resilience can help you be ready. Now, let's get into what you see on the news, the responses. I'm only going to touch on a couple responses before getting into COVID-19, since that's likely what's impacting most of you now. As I mentioned earlier, we've done testing and training with drones. So during Hurricane Dorian, along with helping to reestablish connectivity with NetHope in more than 40 medical facilities and shelters in Nassau and Abaco, or bringing free Wi-Fi to community-based locations with the Information Disaster Technology Resource Center, or ITDRC, we provided technical expertise with our deployable volunteers and 2 Snowball Edges to rapidly streamline and distribute high-resolution images of the impact of the most affected areas. The Snowball Edge device brought the AWS cloud to the edge to help.ngo and its partners and made mission-critical data available to humanitarian workers and decision makers. AWS also contributed $50,000 to both NetHope and ITDRC to fund their recovery work in the Bahamas with respect to IT and connectivity for the responding organizations, shelters, and community-based entities. Another interesting case was helping USGS evacuate their data from the path of lava. During the Mount Kilauea eruption, one of their buildings was literally in the path of the lava flow and housed on-premise data, including more than 40 years of images. We overnighted a storage snowball to Hawaii, which is kind of funny if you think about it, to get the data transferred. And bonus, now they have backups of all of that data. Snowballs in Hawaii. But let's get down to the one thing that's impacting the whole world right now, COVID-19. This is a response unlike any I have seen in my 15 years of response work, and one I hope we never see the likes of again. Our team has been responding to the outbreak since January, and I'm not going to lie, the team was not built for a prolonged response like this. What I can say, though, is that AWS has come together in a way that just blows my mind, bringing together resources and rapidly with that bias for action and can-do attitude that's just really humbling. All the teams in AWS want to help. One of the very first things was getting education solutions together for students who couldn't go back to school. Students all over the world are continuing to learn on systems powered by AWS. For example, BSmart is an educational hub in Italy, also active in France, providing teachers, schools, and students, their families, they all get this service and the content. In response to COVID-19, they launched a new service allowing virtual classes based on Chime SDK. They communicated this new service to their full school's customer base and a school customer base of Argo software covering about 30% of the schools in Italy. With the assistance of AWS, they were able to build multi-party video interaction capabilities in our virtual classroom application for schools in Italy in under 8 days. Another thing that has been important for students is helping them find a way to cope. Using Amazon Connect, AWS helped the Los Angeles School District stand up some counseling lines in both English and Spanish. Which I'll come back a little bit later to that in this presentation. The new normal, at least for many of us, is working from home. We've been helping customers get their workforce online so that they can continue operations safely all around the world. We've been working closely with customers in a number of ways to support them during this crisis, including providing services for workspaces and work docs for free. And we are working with American Express to provide support for small businesses through the Stand for Small campaign. To find out more about any of these efforts or the offer, visit AWS's website and the Amazon Day One blog. Even as we are seeing regions reopening, we are seeing companies decide to continue their work online or increase their remote working flexibility in case of a second wave or an additional disaster. Some of you may have seen in the news the Diagnostics Development Initiative, a $20 million initiative from AWS for those institutions that are working with improving testing and diagnostics of COVID-19 in the hopes of speeding up how we diagnose and in speeding up how we find a vaccine. For example, the University of British Columbia and Vancouver General Hospital has been working on an artificial intelligence model trained on chest x-rays, creating a massive data set of COVID-19 positive images from around the world. The program is open to accredited research institutions and private entities that are using AWS to support research-oriented workloads for the development of point-of-care diagnostics, or testing that can be done at home or at a clinic with same-day results. Given the need for the emphasis initially, it's going to be on COVID-19. But that doesn't mean other infectious disease diagnostic projects will not also be considered. We are still taking applications, so if your organization is working on a diagnostic solution, please visit the Diagnostic Development Initiative webpage to apply. AWS is a part of the COVID-19 HPC consortium. You can find a public COVID-19 data lake that we opened and are coordinating with regional representatives to bring data and solutions that have been successfully used in your area to you. Researchers are invited to bring their COVID-19 related research proposals to the consortium to see about getting additional support. One of the many ripple effects of the pandemic has been on mental health. Studies have shown that prolonged social isolation, disasters, and stress, especially financial stress, can dramatically increase the likelihood of suicide. 1/3 of Americans have experienced high levels of psychological distress during the COVID-19 pandemic. And that's according to a new research out of the Pew Research Center. It's evident that the virus is taking a toll mentally as well as physically. Beyond suicide risk, experts have warned of increases in counseling needs, addiction and rehabilitation needs, increases in domestic violence as the world deals with this pandemic. We wanted to help, so we stood up a special team within AWS that we named Project Lighthouse. It might sound cliche, but the name Lighthouse seemed right. A lighthouse helps those lost in the night or rough seas, and they know that they're not alone. It helps them find their way home and to safety and to their loved ones. Through Lighthouse, we are working with customers to assist with credits and technical support where needed. One example of a customer we have worked with is Headspace. We found out that they were offering their app to responders for free and reached out to ask them if we could provide them some credits to offset their operational cost. If you're a part of an organization doing this work who could use our help, please contact your account manager. Tableau has become a source of trusted data and analysis for COVID-19. You can visit the COVID-19 Data Hub to find an analysis of the pandemic and to get the resources to do your own analysis. The Tableau Public Service, it plays a crucial role for state and local governments to share critical information with their communities. This role has been amplified in recent months as the world struggles to understand the impact of COVID-19. They provide a place for people to understand the data about the virus, be it locally, in different sectors, and around the world. In April of this year, Sarah Wilkinson, CEO of NHS Digital, presented the NHS Digital COVID-19 response. Part of this response is to deliver customer-facing services. NHS Digital published open data sets for the NHS as a part of this response. A new 111 data set was published. NHS 111 is the UK's centralized call center to triage calls from the general public to seek medical advice over the phone. By identifying hotspots across the country, hospitals can be prepared for new patients being admitted. This open data set is made up of 111 pathway data using refined algorithms for patients previously reporting COVID-19 systems via the 111 website or call center, or 999, the UK's emergency services, fire, ambulance, and police. NHS Digital required dashboards that utilize sophisticated visualizations to deliver the citizen-facing services. The first dashboard for 111 went live on April 27th, followed by shielded patient data on May 21st. NHS Digital is using this data to collaborate with the UK government's pandemic response efforts to support the health and care in the needs of the public. The shielded patient list is made up of patients who have been identified with vulnerable health conditions. This dashboard is enabling partner organizations across the British government to support and protect those who are vulnerable at this time. These dashboards use Tableau and sit in an AWS environment. NHS Digital, AWS, and a financial institution stood up a new server environment within 3 working days. Throughout the project, AWS has offered NHS Digital and partners support to ensure an agile environment in which to deploy technology with excellent performance. These dashboards have had over 200,000 hits since going live on May 21st. I feel like I'm a lot of a bummer in a lot of meetings because I'm always thinking ahead for the next disaster that we need to be ready for now. And that means right now we are doing a lot of planning on making sure we are ready for hurricanes, increases in floodings, typhoons, and fire season. What I can tell you is that AWS Disaster Response is hard at work making sure we are ready to support you for whatever comes next. I encourage you to reach out to your account manager or rep to ask about the ways AWS Disaster Response can help you. The best way we can be prepared for what's next is to work together, to start talking about it now, to start working together now, to come together, albeit digitally, right now, to make sure that all of us are ready. Thank you for your time today, and please complete the session evaluation.